When couples are getting married, I usually like to tell them beforehand to make sure that they take a moment in the ceremony or the celebration, the Mass, to remember and to imprint in their mind. Because so often what happens is they go to their reception and everyone starts showing them pictures of what happened, showing pictures of the Mass or pictures of the exchange of vows or of the rings. And unfortunately, what then they remember is the picture, not the moment, not the feeling of being there present to one another here in this sanctuary, being present to God, being present to the beauty of what He's surrounding them with. That is probably best, really, in any big celebration we have, even as a family, to not look at the pictures right away. Maybe like for a wedding, wait till after you get back from the honeymoon. Savor the memory. Imprint it on your mind. Because, today everybody's a photographer and everything is documented. No matter what happens, there's pictures everywhere. And I hope that we're not losing a sense of being present, living in the moment and appreciating the feeling that goes along, not just the visual, but also what's happening in the heart. Also, the fact that God gave us more than the sense of sight. He gave us the ability to hear. He gave us the ability to touch. He gave us the ability to just have a feeling in the heart of love and of appreciation for a particular event or moment in time. So often parents go through this, or grandparents, because they realize when they look at their children that they've grown up so quickly. And do you ever wonder, where have the years gone? I think especially when people come to church, they see other families whose children maybe sit in the same pew or the same area. You come to church, you see other families growing up. Brings back memories maybe of your own family and of being at a particular point in time. What do you remember most from that point in time? About maybe being a mother to a young child, or perhaps being a mother to a teenager. I don't know which one you'd choose if you had a choice between the two. But there's certainly a grace involved with the teenager as well, watching them make decisions, take responsibility. So living in the moment is so precious. It's what our scripture today really calls us to. In the gospel, where Jesus appears to the disciples once again in his last resurrection appearance, he comes to them and he's being present to them. You can only imagine the shock on their face of the fact that he's come back, because he was dead. Think about it. He had no pulse. He had wounds and bruises. He had vanished from their sight. He was in the tomb. He was gone. They grieved him. And all of a sudden, he shows back up. Now, if all they did was take a picture of the moment, they wouldn't be able to have gone out to evangelize like they did. Would they have been able to go and spread the good news, to talk about what resurrection really is? That it's just not a story, but rather it's about life. They were inspired because then when they saw Jesus, they were troubled. Then they were joy-filled. Then they were courageous, and they were inspired because they gave Jesus the time. They gave Jesus the ability to feel what was going on in their own hearts. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, feelings, desires that go on in these post-resurrection appearances. And there's a message in it for us. First of all, when it comes to God, how do we feel in the presence of God? Do we have a different feeling coming into a church, enjoying a moment of grace? At our class for baptism, I often tell the parents that, grace is a beautiful name for a child. But what does grace mean? We sing about it. Grace is a gift from God of being in a present moment. Grace is when God pours out his love upon us. For instance, when we have a recognition of him. And it doesn't only happen when we become before a beautiful gold tabernacle. God's grace is present to us maybe in a morning when we wake up early and watch the sunrise. And you look at the sky or the sunset and you say, only God could paint the sky in that way. If we don't take that moment to savor it, we're just going to go about our day like it's any other day. Winnie the Pooh once asked Piglet, said, "What day is it today?" And Piglet said, "Well, it's today." And Pooh said, "It's my favorite day." My friends, every day can be our favorite day. If we truly enjoy the grace of God here and now. If when we go out to eat as a family or at home, and maybe or even as a couple, for instance, you go out to a restaurant, husband and wife, and there's just two of you sitting there, and you look at the table and I wonder, there's not just two people sitting there, there's two people and a cell phone, which means there's two people and everybody in your address book sitting there, just waiting for a text message, waiting for that all-important phone call that's going to come. Oh, I have to be present there to my phone and to whoever it is that's way away from me, but I'm not present to the person sitting in front of me. What does that mean? And really, am I going to remember that dinner? What will I remember from that dinner? Talking on the cell phone, texting, someone else's business, everyone in my address book, but I wasn't there with the person. If we were in that room where the apostles were and Jesus appeared and we were too busy on our cell phone, we'd miss out on a lot. God doesn't want us to be only behind the camera taking the picture. He doesn't want us to be only the one looking at the picture of our lives. He wants us to be participants in the beautiful story that He's given to us of today.